have been waiting for and calling for and questioning why it wasn't happening. Stephanie White has stepped up to the plate in defense of Caitlin.
Breaking. Stephanie White announces Caitlin Clark is leaving the WNBA. Finally, what we've all been watching unfold right before our eyes has reached a breaking point. Stephanie White, the head coach of the Indiana...
Caitlin Clark. I could not believe my ears, guys. I could not believe my ears when I heard this. Stephanie White actually being bold enough to stand on business and protect...
just dropped a bombshell that has the entire WNBA shaking to its core. And honestly, I couldn't believe my ears when I first heard this. White didn't just stand up for Caitlin Clark. She didn't just defend her star player.
Myself, and I think this is a really interesting one. And it's clear from this answer, I've already listened to this, it's very clear from this answer that Stephanie White clearly, and Caitlin Clark, there's clearly a level of person...
She exposed something far darker, something the league has been trying to sweep under the rug for months. And what she revealed might just be the final nail in the coffin for Caitlin's future in the WNBA. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Caitlin Clark is being used. She's being exploited. And Stephanie...
Your star player.
Yeah, I mean, I hate it all for Caitlin. I feel like, she's a 23-year-old kid who loves to play this game, who is a pawn in a lot of other people's games and a lot of other people's narratives.
White just confirmed what we've all been suspecting. The question isn't if Caitlin will leave anymore. The question is when. Let me set the scene for you. Stephanie White, a woman who's been in this league since day one, who's seen it all, who's fought through the absolute worst times in WNBA history, sat down for what seemed like a routine interview.
Narrative, and I hate that for her. We're coming into a time in the WNBA where we're kind of part of the growing pains of becoming quote unquote mainstream professional sport.
But instead of giving the usual coach speak, the political answers, the carefully crafted PR responses, she did something nobody expected. She told the truth. And that truth hit like a freight train. White looked directly into the camera and said the words that have been echoing across social media ever since. I hate it all for Caitlin. She's a 23-year-old kid who loves to play this game. And she's a pawn in a lot of other people's games. A pawn.
I do think that we are at a pivotal moment in terms of the league's history. And look, I was a part of the very first collective bargaining agreement of the WNBA, where we wanted insurance all year long, to now where it is growing and players do deserve more. And leadership needs to...
Let that sink in for a second. The head coach of the Indiana Fever just called out the entire WNBA ecosystem, the players, the media, the commissioner, everyone for using Caitlin Clark like a chess piece in their own selfish battles. And here's the thing. Stephanie White didn't yell. She didn't go on some wild rant. She didn't blow up in anger. No, she did something far more devastating. She spoke calmly. She spoke clearly.
Needs to reflect where we are as a league and also understand where we are as a league and where players' perspectives are coming from. And, we have coaches on the sidelines and Becky Hammond and myself, and of course Noelle Quinn, who was in Seattle.
And she spoke the absolute, undeniable truth. That's what makes this so dangerous for the league. Because when someone as respected as Stephanie White, someone who's been a player, a champion, and now a coach, when she says the system is broken, people listen. And right now, the entire basketball world is listening. So what exactly is happening here? Why is Caitlin Clark's name being dragged through the mud every single day? Well, let's break this down. Caitlin hasn't said anything controversial this season. She hasn't posted some wild statement on social media. She hasn't called anyone out. She hasn't started any drama. All she's done is show up, play basketball at an elite level, and try to focus on her craft. But somehow, Every single controversy in the WNBA leads back to her, whether it's player salaries, TV ratings, media favoritism, or the officiating nightmare we've seen all season long. Caitlin's name is right there in the center of it. And she never asked for any of this. Think about it. Every time a player criticizes the league's pay structure, Caitlin's name gets thrown into the conversation. Every time a new policy is announced, it's immediately compared to how it benefits or harms Caitlin Clark. Every time there's a debate about officiating, people point to the way she's been treated on the court. She's become the poster child for every single problem in the league, even though she's done absolutely nothing to deserve that label. And Stephanie White is fed up with it. You can hear it in her voice. You can see it in her body language. She's watched her star player get beaten down physically and emotionally, and she's not going to stay silent anymore. White made it crystal clear when she said Caitlin is being used as a pawn. And she's not wrong. Let's talk about who's using her. First, there's the WNBA itself. The league has built its entire marketing strategy around Caitlin Clark. They plaster her face on every promotional poster. They feature her in every commercial. They mention her name every 5 seconds during broadcasts. Why? Because she's the biggest draw women's basketball has ever seen. She's the ratings magnet. She's the ticket seller. She's the headline generator. The WNBA knows that without Caitlin, a lot of the recent growth disappears. So they use her image to attract sponsors, to sell merchandise, to fill arenas. But here's the twisted part. The moment she gets too much credit, the moment people start saying she's the reason for the league's success, the WNBA panics. They backtrack. They downplay her impact. They throw her under the bus to protect everyone else's feelings. Then you've got the players. And this is where it gets uncomfortable. A lot of WNBA players are using Caitlin's name as leverage in their contract negotiations. They're pointing to the ratings she brings in, the money she generates, and saying, look, if she's bringing in this much revenue, we all deserve more. And you know what? They're not wrong. They do deserve more. But instead of directing their frustration at the league's leadership, they're making Caitlin the face of their argument. She's become the example, the benchmark, the reason they're demanding change. And that's a massive burden to put on a 23-year-old rookie who's just trying to play basketball. And let's not forget about the media. Oh, the media loves Caitlin Clark. Why? Because her name gets clicks. Her name drives engagement. Her name sells subscriptions. Every single article, every video, every tweet that mentions Caitlin performs better than anything else. So the media keeps pumping out content about her, even when it's manufactured drama, even when it's completely unnecessary. They're not covering her because they care about her well-being. They're covering her because she makes them money. And in the process, they're turning her into a villain in some people's eyes and a martyr in others. She can't win. Then there are the fans. And this might be the most complicated layer of all. Some fans use Caitlin as a weapon to bash the WNBA every time something goes wrong. They point to the way she's been treated and say, see, this league doesn't appreciate talent. This league is a joke. Other fans resent her success and accuse her of getting special treatment, even though she's been brutalized on the court all season long. So no matter what Caitlin does, no matter how she responds, someone's going to be angry. She's damned if she speaks up and damned if she stays silent. And through all of this, Caitlin has barely said a word. When reporters asked her about Nafisa Collier's recent comments criticizing the league, you know what Caitlin said? She said, I have great respect for Fee. She made a lot of valid points. That's it. She didn't take sides. She didn't throw anyone under the bus. She didn't escalate the situation. But her name still stayed in the headlines for weeks because people can't stop dragging her into every debate. And Stephanie White hates it. You can hear the frustration in her voice when she talks about it. She's protective of Caitlin, not just as her coach, but as someone who genuinely cares about her as a person. White understands something that a lot of people seem to forget. Caitlin didn't ask for this title. She didn't ask to be the face of the league. The WNBA handed her that responsibility the moment they saw the ratings spike. They saw the sold-out arenas. They saw the record-breaking viewership numbers. And they said, yep, she's our golden ticket. But here's the problem. When you make someone the face of your league, you also make them the scapegoat when things go wrong. And that's exactly what's happening. Caitlin is getting all the blame and none of the protection. Let's talk about the leadership issues for a second, because this is where things get really ugly. Stephanie White made it abundantly clear when she said, leadership needs to reflect where we are as a league. And while she didn't name Kathy Engelbert directly, everyone knows exactly who she was talking about. The WNBA commissioner has been in the hot seat for months now, and for good reason. She's dismissed player concerns. She's made tone-deaf comments about Caitlin's off-court endorsement money. She's managed to upset both the fans and the players, which is honestly an impressive feat in the worst way possible. Remember a few weeks ago when Napheesa Collier went off on Engelbert, accusing her of bad leadership, and even claiming that Kathy told people Caitlin should be grateful for the WNBA platform? That was a massive story. And instead of addressing it head-on, instead of having an honest conversation, Kathy released the most robotic corporate statement imaginable. She said she was disheartened by the comments. Disheartened. As if this was some minor miscommunication instead of a full-blown crisis. That's not leadership. That's damage control. And it's not working. Then Sophie Cunningham came out and called Kathy Engelbert the most delusional leader the league has ever seen. Lexi Hull backed up Collier's comments. Becky Hammon threw shade about the officiating inconsistencies. And now Stephanie White, who's usually so calm and measured, is speaking out too. If that doesn't tell you how deep the frustration runs in this league, nothing will. These aren't fringe voices. These are respected players and coaches who are fed up with the way things are being handled. And at the center of it all is Caitlin Clark, who never asked to be part of any of this. White's message is simple but powerful. Stop using Caitlin Clark as your shield. If you have problems with the collective bargaining agreement, deal with them directly. If you're upset about leadership, call it out. But stop turning every single debate into the Caitlin Clark conversation. Because here's the sad reality. It's probably not going to stop anytime soon. Caitlin equals money. And money talks. But here's the twist. The more the league and the media use her name to cover up their own failures, the more fans are starting to turn against the WNBA. People see right through it now. They can tell when the league is exploiting her image instead of protecting her. Take the officiating controversy from earlier this season. Caitlin got absolutely hammered on the court, game after game. Referees let opponents shove her, hit her, undercut her, and the league said nothing. Not a single statement. Not a single acknowledgement. But then, when the backlash from fans got loud enough, when it started to look bad publicly, suddenly the WNBA started issuing player safety statements. That's exactly what Stephanie White is talking about. The league only reacts when it's a PR disaster, not when it's the right thing to do. And it's not just about officiating. It's about respect. It's about communication. It's about actually listening to the people who make this league possible. Stephanie White has been around long enough to know the difference between real leadership and corporate PR talk. And Kathy Engelbert is all PR talk. That's why players like Collier and coaches like White are pushing back now. They've seen this movie before, and they know it doesn't end well. The WNBA is at a crossroads right now. They have incredible momentum. They have huge national attention. They have stars like Caitlin Clark, who can actually move the needle. but they're also running out of patience. And Stephanie White just put it all out in the open for everyone to see. She said the league is going through growing pains, and she's right. No league becomes great without going through some internal chaos. The NBA went through it. The NFL went through it. But here's the difference. Those leagues had leadership that actually learned from their mistakes. The question is, will the WNBA learn? Because if they don't, these cracks are going to turn into full-blown fractures. And here's the thing that should terrify everyone involved. While the players and the executives are fighting behind the scenes, while they're using Caitlin's name as ammunition in their battles, the fans are starting to lose interest. The drama is overshadowing the actual basketball. The game itself is getting lost in all the noise. And if that continues, it won't matter how talented Caitlin Clark is. People will stop watching. Sponsors will pull out. The growth will stall. And all of this momentum will be wasted. Stephanie White understands this better than anyone. That's why her message is so balanced. She's not just defending Caitlin. She's not just attacking the league. She's reminding everyone what's at stake here. The WNBA's credibility depends on how it handles its biggest stars. And right now, it's failing miserably. They're treating Caitlin like a marketing tool instead of a human being. They're exploiting her image while offering her no real protection. And eventually, something's going to break. So here's the reality we all need to face. Stephanie White didn't just defend Caitlin Clark in that interview. She defended the entire future of the WNBA. Because if the league keeps treating its biggest star like a pawn instead of a person, it's not just Caitlin who's going to walk away. It's going to be the fans too. The endorsement deals will dry up. The media attention will fade. And all of this progress, all of this growth will disappear. The warning signs are already there. The frustration is boiling over. And Stephanie White just gave everyone a glimpse of what's coming if things don't change. So the question isn't whether Caitlin Clark is being used. The question is, how much longer can she take it? And based on what Stephanie White just said, the clock is ticking.